should be free.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
The Maggie Dawn Show.
Professor Howard Schwaber.
The point is worth making that an individual government official with the power to unilaterally declare.
Thanks for tuning in to the Todd Allbaugh Show. We'll begin momentarily. Please keep all hands and feet inside the vehicle at all times. About 30 seconds.
We don't want any problems.
Live from the Civic Media World Headquarters in Madison, Wisconsin, it's the Todd Allbaugh Show. And now, pursuing truth wherever it may lead, here's your host, Todd Allbaugh.
Across Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network and streaming worldwide on the Civic Media app. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Todd Allbaugh, along with our producer and engineer, the fantastic Mr. Aaron Zommers, on the board. It is 6 past the hour of 2 o'clock. Welcome into the Civic Media World Headquarters in downtown Madison on State Street. It is Tuesday, May 13th, 2025. It is a great day to be a Wisconsinite. Overcast skies here in the capital city, but pretty warm temperatures. Forecasters saying that rain will move through parts of Wisconsin, kind of on and off today, maybe more heavier rains in the evening, kind of depends on where you're at. A little bit more rain tomorrow, and then cooling off a bit for the weekend, but that's okay, Zommers. We could use a little rain in Wisconsin right now.
Tut, tut, it looks like rain.
Yes, as a matter of fact. Great show today. Cannot wait to get into it. Our friend and ongoing contributor, it's been a while since she's been here. Way too long, as a matter of fact, in my opinion. It'll be great to have her back. She is a positive psychology coach. Ms. Kira Sabin is going to be here, and looking forward to talking with. It's going to be a start of a 3-part series today, next Tuesday, and the following Tuesday. And of course, this is Mental Health Awareness Month. And one of the things that, I kind of set up an informal editorial agenda for the show for the year. One of the things I want to spend more time on is mental health and mental health awareness. And I think oftentimes you hear that phrase, or people hear that phrase, and immediately they think of an ultimate crisis. Oh my gosh, someone's thinking about harming themselves, or the worst possible case scenario. And while that is certainly a part of it, mental health could just be really being depressed or down or lonely to the point where it brings us down, our performance down all around. It's not necessarily quite a crisis, but it can lead to that. And so we're going to talk to Kira over the next 3 weeks about what we can do. I think if you're like me, folks, you're looking at the news and you're being like, what can I actually do to make a difference? And for 3 days this month, today, next Tuesday, and the following Tuesday, we're going to focus on community. And we're going to say, what can we do in our communities to help ourselves and to help one another? And Kira Sabin is going to be here to walk us through that. So it's always great to have her along. That's coming up here at 20 minutes past the hour this hour. Then in hour number 2, talk a little what's worse. And I did not set this up this way, but today's what's worse, guilt or shame.
Yeah, it fits perfectly.
It does fit perfectly. Later on this afternoon at 4:35, Brewers trying to get a win. Lost yesterday against the Cleveland Guardians. The Brewers taking on Cleveland again, 4:35, the first pitch. You can hear it over the air in Richland Center, Oshkosh, Racine, Kenosha, Park Falls, and now in Hayward as well on all of our Brewer affiliates. Remember, you cannot listen to the game via the Civic Media app stream. That is at Major League Baseball. But you can hear our show over the stream if you want to on those same channels. Download the Civic Media app at your favorite Android or Apple store, because coming up on Friday, another free ticket Friday, giving away 4 more tickets on this show on Friday. And you have to use the app to text in for that. So be aware of that. And that's coming up on Friday. So and then all kinds of other I don't know, Zommers, we were talking before the show. I said, part of the theme of today's show should be what's wrong with people.
Yeah, there's.
Just what's wrong with people.
I mean, we every other week we have Peter Rapine, managing editor of E-Bombs World, to talk about crazy people things or crazy things that people do that are funny.
Right.
But before the show, we got repeated news alerts of crazy things people did that were
Not
funny.
One of the things we'll be talking about hour 2, Wisconsin schools warn parents about viral TikTok challenges involving setting their Chromebooks on fire. Again, I ask the question, what's wrong with people?
This is the Todd Pods all over again.
I mean, yeah, exactly. Only instead of little kids, it's like high schoolers, for goodness sake. And David Hogg, remember him? I got myself in some hot water over David Hogg. Well, now, according to NBC, the Democratic National Committee panel recommends a redo vote that elevated David Hogg to vice chair after procedural concerns.
And yeah, you know who's leading that effort? The person he beat.
Yeah, I know. Well, we'll get into it in hour 2. There's a lot to unpack there. But
I love overturning elections.
I'm just entertained by it all.
It's ridiculous.
It really is. First, I want to get to a bit of breaking news here for our listeners in Madison on WMDX. This comes to us courtesy of Channel 3000, Channel 3, the CBS affiliate here in Madison. Madison police are investigating today after a man was shot in the foot while making a delivery downtown. Officers responded after the man arrived at a local hospital. He reported that he and a woman were making a food delivery along the 200 block of South Park Street at around 3:40 a.m. Let me say that again, 3:40 a.m. when he heard a loud bang and felt pain in his leg. The man's injuries were not considered life-threatening, and no arrests have been made as of this afternoon. Says if you have information regarding the shooting, you can call Madison Area Crime Stoppers at 608-266-6014. That's 608-266-6014. I'm glad, the guy's going to be okay, but I didn't know you could order food at 3:40 in the morning, Zommers,
You can order food whenever you want.
On campus, they have those cute robots that travel around and deliver. I didn't know you could just... Who's making food at 3:40 in the morning?
McDonald's, probably.
You think?
Depending on the location. Some of them, I was surprised. Some of them around here are not 24 hours. I thought they all had to be by law or something.
See, Matt listening watching on Facebook has the same question. He goes, delivery from where? What's open at that time?
It's probably just McDonald's, maybe Taco Bell.
Or Chibita or Chaba Hut. What's it called?
Chiba Hut?
Chiba Hut,
yeah. You know what? Good point. It's probably Chiba Hut. Their whole thing is catering to high people.
I shouldn't be laughing about this, but I find it kind of entertaining. The guy's going to be okay, so just relax. It'll all be fine. So we'll stay on top of this. We'll find out where. Would it be interesting to find out where he got the food, where the food is being ordered from?
That would be interesting.
And by the way, what happened to the food that was being ordered?
Yeah, did it get delivered? Or
did he just drop it and run?
Was this individual shot in the foot after delivering the food, before?
I don't know. The moral of the story is just don't order food at 3:40 in the morning.
And practice gun safety. Keep them locked up.
Yes, keep them locked up. All right, so that's the breaking news there. Other quick announcement before we bring Kira Sabin on, because we talked about this for a couple of days here before the show. We were looking forward, and we still are, by the way, to having former Wisconsin Badger star of the NFL, Monte Ball, on the show. And we were looking forward to it, as was he. However, as it turns out, in these days of airline travel in the United States, unfortunately, his flights got canceled and kind of rebooked. And so Monte isn't going to get into town until later on after the show, and he's traveling. So it worked. Unfortunately, he's not going to be on the show today. But he was very apologetic. I said, don't worry about it. Take care of yourself first. And he promised to rebook. We'll have him on the show soon here on the show. But one of the reasons, and again, this goes to our focus on mental health awareness, that Monte has a great story. Obviously, a very talented football player and a friend of our mutual friend, Brady Ewing, who played on the Wisconsin Badger team with him. But Monte also went through a time of addiction, and it was a pretty tough time for him. He's been very public about it. He has gone through recovery, and now he is helping others. And there is an event tonight, and I understand there are still tickets available. There is an event tonight in Madison. Tomorrow. Good gosh, Todd, get the story straight. Tomorrow night, Wednesday. The event is tomorrow, Wednesday, May 14th. It is called a Fireside Chat with Monte Ball and our old friend Kristen Bry, who is a columnist for the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, and of course has her own brand of As Goes Wisconsin on the socials, and as they say, is now on another network. But we love her. She's a great friend. She is going to be the moderator. She has been doing a series of this around the state through the Journal-Sentinel. And so Monte Ball, Kristen Bry, tomorrow at the Cooper's Tavern here on the square. It begins at 6 o'clock and goes until 8:30. And it's an opportunity to socialize, but to hear Monte's story, to perhaps ask some questions. And I think that I'm going to be there. I'm bringing a friend. And again, I talked about this yesterday. Speaking of the Ewings, Brady's dad, I was in Richland Center this past weekend, and he and I had this great conversation. And it makes us feel better when we're around other humans. And I also think that we look at guys like Monte Ball, phenomenally popular and talented. And as a fan, we look at a person like that and think, well, they got everything worked out. I mean, they're living the dream. And it's a great reminder, as much as I wish that Monte hadn't had to go through his journey that he's gone through. But it's a great reminder, especially when somebody like Monte Ball is so public about it and then uses that to do good and encourage and help others. It's a great reminder that nobody has it figured out. We all have a journey, and we're all going through something. And when you can hear it from somebody like Monte Ball personally, I think it's just going to be a very encouraging evening. It's going to be, and also you got Kristen Bry there, so there's going to be some laughs and just some lightness to it as well. So it's being put on by Journey Mental Health Center. So you can go to Journey Mental Health Center. Was it .org? I believe you can look it up.
I believe it was journeymhc.org, but I will double check.
That's right. No, you're 100 here. I got it. Zomers is so good. He gave it to me, and then I didn't write it down. So
journeymhc.org, and then you'll want to go to the Join Us tab.
All right.
And Mental Health Awareness Month.
Very good. And I think Kristen probably has it on her socials as well, as does Monte. But buy a ticket. The proceeds go to Monte's Foundation and also Journey Mental Health to help others who are going through addiction and that sort of thing. So it should be just a great, great evening tomorrow night from 6 until 8:30 at Cooper's Tavern. Get your tickets, support a great cause, come out, have a great evening, and sit there and enjoy the evening with me. So anyway, that's the plug for that great event. And again, Monte will be on this show soon. He was very apologetic. I said, hey, family comes first. Got to take care of those things. And as we all know, air travel is touch and go right now. So anyway,
just a bit,
just a bit. So anyway, we're going to come back and reset a little bit here. Talk to Kira Sabin, a positive psychology coach. And during the break, maybe it's kind of a good prep time for all of us to be thinking about what can we control and what can't we control during these times. We can't take it all on at once. That's just not mentally healthy and mentally good, right?
It's just too much for any one person.
It is too much. So we'll be talking about things, what we can control, what we can't control. And next week, we'll be talking about healthy ways to cope, the second in our 3-part series. But we're going to start it with things we can control, things we can't control, and personal needs conversation. How about that? It could get very personal in the next.
I'm sure it tends to.
Can we bring Kira on so that Todd has a therapy session on the air, basically? And we hope it does some good for other people as well. No. It's going to be fantastic. Stay tuned. A conversation with Kira Sabin, positive psychology coach, on the other side. You're listening to a Tuesday edition on the Todd Allbaugh Show, and you're listening across Wisconsin to the Civic Media Radio Network.
What's up?
92.7
There she is. I love it.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
I can.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Another state to
Yeah,
take action
yeah,
in the
yeah.
face of ongoing erosion of the
This is so late. 2:20.
I
This
know.
is where
It's
nap
weird.
time almost. I'm kidding.
For those watching the stream, Kira's been with us earlier in the morning, midday, and now here she is in the afternoon. That's how good she is.
I used to do a long time ago, like 10 plus years ago, I used to go on NBC and I had to be there at like 5:30 in the morning
What? I don't believe it.
on TV. No, I mean, I don't even know who I was. Who was that girl? I have zero idea. Because that now sounds impossible to do, but
Right.
I don't know.
Good gravy.
Good gravy.
All right.
Good gravy.
Terry, excited to hear from Kira. So are we, Terry. Thank you.
Yay, Terry. I'll try to be awesome.
She's always awesome. What Matt? You said, or did you say that's what happened? Oh, on the delivery. Yeah, I don't know what's open at that hour, Matt. That's what we were trying to decide. Maybe Chiba Hut.
That would make sense.
Maybe Chiba Hut.
Yeah.
They're kind of open all the time, aren't
a
they?
guy got shot at 3:40 in the morning. A delivery guy was delivering food, and he gets shot in the foot at 3:40 this morning on Park Street. And I said, "What's open at 3:40 in the morning?"
Kira, are you able to move your mic closer or turn it up at all? It's a little quiet.
Okay, let me look. Ah. I have a new setup,
Wow,
but
very fancy.
it's not. It's a little janky actually, but I think we can.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Ah!
All right, we got about 20 seconds.
All right, here we go.
Dude. Aaron, does that feel okay? Is that better? If it's like
I think so, yeah.
here, I'm turning up like the gain a little bit too. Oh wow. It's being fussy. Fussy.
Just a small town girl living in a lonely world. She took the midnight train going anywhere. Just a
Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh
city
Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. 23 now, past the hour of 2 o'clock on Tuesday, May 13th. Glad to have you along here. Mental Health Awareness Month. She was just a small town girl living a few blocks from me in the same small town. She took the midnight train out. Now look at her.
The
She is a
midnight train. Yeah. What midnight train at Richland Center? Okay.
They took the train tracks out when I was in high school, I think. Positive psychology coach, Ms. Kira Sabin. You can find her at Thrive with Kira, and make sure you spell the without, W-I-T-H, Thrive with Kira. That's KIRA.com. Kira Sabin, it is great to have you back.
I am so excited to be here, as always, Todd.
I chose that music because you pointed me in one of your Insta posts recently about the 80s, in which we both grew up in. I'm a little older than you, but it was a great post, all those 80s memories.
I've been finding that nostalgia really hits me lately. And so I started posting things that made me really happy. And then it's crazy because other people, they made them really happy too. So I weekly do a Manic Monday where I post videos and commercials and TV shows. Last night I did post the Circus of the Stars, if you remember that from the 80s.
yes,
Yeah, as well as I
yes.
think last night was also Battle of the Network Stars. Like, I'm so amazed by what they got TV stars to do in the 80s that would never exist today.
That's amazing. And it's so cool that you brought up this nostalgia because, and Kira knows my mom, I went flower shopping for Mother's Day, and I usually get the flowers from the front pots. And I've gotten different. Well, I go to, by the way, Kopke's Greenhouse in the town of Dunn outside of Oregon, one of our sponsors here at Civic Media. Great place to go get your plants. And I was thinking, you know what? I try to get something kind of unique, but I was looking at the geraniums, Kira, the red and white geraniums. And I'm like, that just I just remember like growing up, and it made me feel nostalgic and it made me feel good. But I thought that was too on point, and so I got her kind of purple and white geraniums.
Well, Linda, you'll have to tell us how you feel about that now that you know, right?
But the nostalgia, we need comfort in these times.
We really
right?
do. We really do. I also do Fluffy Friday, where I just put up happy animal videos.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah, not Furry Friday, Fluffy Friday. So
Very different things.
very
different.
different things. More like kittens and pandas. So
I love it.
That okay.
Our mutual friend, ongoing contributor Jeff Perry on Facebook says, Kira, last night we watched the very first episode of Three's Company.
Oh
How
my
about that?
gosh.
No
I
more
love
nostalgia.
Yeah, there is no more like, and then you have to watch Alice after it though.
Oh, I
Right?
know, right?
Right?
All right. We could sit here and have Old Home Week all week, but I think this is a good table setter. You've been so kind as to agree to do a 3-part series today, next Tuesday, and the following Tuesday for Mental Health Awareness Month. And I love the fact that you're willing to do this because you've come on the show before. There's crazy times right now politically, and for me at least, and I'm just going to put this out there on the air. I don't care because I'm always interested in Kira's opinion. I've been struggling recently with this show because I hear from people from their 20s through their 70s, Todd, we just can't, we turn you off sometimes because we get overwhelmed. We
Right.
just don't want to hear the news. We know it's important. I just don't think, Kira, that I can come on this show every day and say the world's on fire. It's a crisis every day. You've talked to how humans are wired before. Let's start there, that human beings are just literally not wired to be in crisis mode every day, right?
At all. I mean, I love to think about, being from Wisconsin, like our grandparents and great grandparents, they were mostly farmers, they barely had any emergency situations. And we now turn on our phones and there's like trigger, emergency every second. And our brains are not meant for that, right? Our brains are not able to really take that in. And so it can overwhelm us. It shuts us down. And then we can't exist, and then we can't be human. And I think that that's happening everywhere, because one of the things that Todd and I talked about recently, we were just talking about this, is just, I don't think people in our country are happy right now, whoever you are, whoever you voted for. We are struggling as a nation, and we are seeing the results of that. And so even though you look at things politically, I look at things through psychology and humanity. And humanity-wise, we are struggling. But I also know that the world has always been struggling since the day we are born and probably the day we will die. Whether we see it in our neighborhoods or our backyards or in our communities, that's true. But we get to choose what we think about. We get to choose where we put our money and our power and our time and our energy. And that's what I want to talk about today, taking back our control, like looking and putting our time where it makes sense. Because otherwise, we get so overwhelmed, we become paralyzed, and we do nothing but worry.
And I think this is great. We have about a minute or so before the break here. So let's set the table, and then we'll come back and get right into it. Things we can control and we can't control, because if we look, I think it's great to go out and join a protest, a peaceful one, obviously. I think that's great, but I think oftentimes we tell people, hey, go do this because it's going to make it better. And then they go do it and things are the same or worse, and they feel completely overwhelmed and hopeless. And these are things, what you're going to give us after this break are things we can do for ourselves and our friends and neighbors that we can actually make differences with.
Yes, absolutely, because I think that community is where it starts. I think humanity is where it starts, and that's how we get back to each other and get back to some sanity.
And it fits so well with one of the main ethos, the through lines of civic media. Our CEO and owner, Sage Weil, when he started this, he wanted it to be about community, a focus on that. It didn't start in Washington, D.C. It starts in our local neighborhoods with local news, local sports, and local neighborhoods. And we're going to talk about community with Kira Sabin when we come back. Positive psychology coach. Don't stop believing. There's hope on the other side. News, sports, and weather is next. It's the Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Don't stop believing.
Every time I hear that, I think of Hillary Clinton and Tipper Gore going out after Bill Clinton's speech, and they put their because that was their song. That was his theme song for the campaign, and they put their hands on each other's shoulders, and they went like that.
Oh, the 90s were such a special time. Such a special time, weren't they?
They really were.
Any other song requests? We have like 4.5 minutes, so there's time to think.
I mean, I feel like we can do Control by Janet Jackson. I feel like we could do, if we're talking about Control, right?
Janet Jackson's getting inducted into the she just got
Hall of Fame?
hang on. Something. She's getting some award, like icon or something like that, or legend.
As she should.
Yeah.
That could actually help with those gardening chores.
So the FarmBot is motorized.
FarmBot, what am I hearing here?
It's a Pam Yonkie's farm report. The fabulous farm babe, as she calls herself. Janet Jackson to be honored with Icon Award at American Music Awards.
That's awesome.
Yeah, right.
That's awesome.
Long overdue. Why hasn't she been honored for that already?
I mean,
Kira's like, I'm not here as a music critic.
capitalism, man, capitalism. That's where it all goes down to. Music industry? Like, right?
Probably,
You know?
Probably. Men control the music industry who are butthurt because a woman was more successful.
Yeah.
Probably.
Probably.
No,
Trying to
because
harness artificial intelligence and
What?
assisting.
no, I was just gonna say because she was an icon in the '80s. She was
Yes.
huge, and through the '90s.
Yeah.
Like, and yeah, I feel like a lot of people have been given more for less.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. People, that could be a whole segment. People who have been given icon awards that don't deserve them.
I'm probably not going to be the person to tell people they don't deserve it, but I will say that I think that Janet Jackson is an icon, and it is somebody
Yes.
who grew up
She
during
does.
that time. Like, I fully believe she deserves that award, or deserved it probably 15 years ago.
Yes, I totally agree. She is one that does deserve it. But to your point, I believe, I don't have the list in front of me, but I bet if I did, we both say, really? What did they do?
Interesting.
A one-hit wonder. Here for during our break here, here's some news for the home streamer. A mobile McDonald's restaurant popped up in Riyadh as President Donald Trump visited Saudi Arabia. They literally flew over, they set up a mobile McDonald's so that Trump could eat McDonald's while he was in Saudi Arabia.
Of course.
I'm not making this up.
I know
not
you're
kidding.
not. I
I'm
know
not
you're
kidding
not.
around.
Oh, I know. But we all need to laugh a little bit more, man.
Yes, I agree. What else we have?
A mix of sun and clouds today with a chance of a few spotty sprinkles, otherwise warm. High temperatures climbing
I know. It's like summer overnight.
tomorrow, becoming
I know, right? Although it's partly cloudy here downtown. On the west side, what's it like?
It was sunny for a bit, but it's kind of in between now. Kind of
Yeah.
sun is peeking out occasionally.
I don't want to go into details on because we are live on the stream, but your lovely and talented husband, how is he feeling?
Oh, he is doing really well, actually. So
All right,
he
good.
had a hip replacement, everyone, at 46 years
Oof.
old.
Yeah.
That's not ideal.
No.
Not ideal, but he feels better. So
Crazy. I'm glad he's feeling better. All right, we're getting already close. Here we go. Oh my gosh! I'll tell you on the other. I'll tell you this when we come on.
30 seconds.
Good gosh! Timely news indeed here, ladies and gentlemen. Kira Saban Spotify playlist. 35 minutes now past the hour of 2 o'clock. Glad to have you along on the Allbaugh Show on Civic Media. Talking with Kira Saban, positive psychology coach for Mental Health Awareness Month. Janet Jackson, Kira, is now being honored with an Icon Award at the American Music Festival. How about that?
I think that's fantastic.
Well overdue, I would say.
Agree.
Kira, before we this is one of these things that's funny, but it's not, I guess. I just saw this during the break. According to the European Space Agency and Dutch scientists, you can always trust the Dutch. Headline: the universe is poised to die much faster than previously thought, according to new research by Dutch scientists. Charlie Sykes, a longtime conservative talk host, now turned kind of an independent like me, says, "Why does this feel like good news?"
I don't
That's
know if
rough.
it feels really like good news, Todd, but maybe that's just where you're at right now.
Well, but it gets to the point we're talking about before the break, and we're going to get into it right now, is that with all the news that's piling on, regardless of who people voted for, that it just seems like the world is out of control. You don't know what's going to happen next. And you've talked about this before, we are lonely people, not just females, but actually probably more so males are in their own little worlds and silos, information silos. And this is not good for mental health. So we're going to talk about things we can control and can't control. This is the first of a 3-part series with Kira. So Kira, let's start. Things that we cannot control, but we sure try to.
We sure try to. I mean, the thing is that every day we are walking through our days and we're trying to control our environments, right? And we may not think that we're trying to, but we are. And a lot of the times the energy that we spend trying to control our environments is wasted because we're trying to control things we can't. So first thing we can't control, guess what? Other people. We cannot control, no matter if they're our kids, our parents, our partners, our friends. We can't control how they act, how they react. You might give them great news and they may be stunned or not happy for you. We can't control the way other people react to us. And trying to just drives us crazy or leads to some level of people pleasing and manipulation, which we're not trying to do on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. We also can't control timelines. We can't control how fast things happen. I know that when we are sometimes grieving, we want to get over it right away. We want to push through it and just put our heads down. But if you've ever grieved or tried to heal from something extreme, it takes its own timeline. We can't control it. And all we can do is maybe try to numb it, but that isn't very helpful. We also, go ahead. Do you have a question?
No, that's fine. That's good.
We also can't control, this is going to be a newsflash, everybody, the state of the world right now, right? We cannot, unfortunately, control everything that's happening in our country, whether it's on tariffs, whether it's on anything for that matter. We have some control, but a lot of it we don't. And I don't know about you, Todd, but I grew up being called a worrywart, which I've now learned is anxiety. Right?
Funny how that happens.
Funny how that's happening, that my dad's like, oh, you're just a worrywart. Oh, or I have anxiety. But really, if we spend the amount of time that it's kind of being shoved in our faces, the news, the media, the constant, what bad is going to happen now, which we have to remember sells newspapers, sells ads, sells all of the different things, then we would never want to get out of bed. I'm going to talk about what we can control, but I have to really be focused on where I put my time and energy, or I don't want to get out of bed in the morning.
Right. And I think this is, again, it goes back to, and I'm not me personally, I'm not discouraging people from participating in democracy. Certainly go out, peaceful protest, all that. We have ballot boxes, although it's going to be a while before an election. But to your point, Kira, I think that too often there's too much emphasis by those of us in the media on what you just said, and then we feel overwhelmed. And I think it's healthier. Mental health is better for our mental health if we put more focus on what things we can control. But before we get to that, tell us the psychology behind why do we want to control things that we can't? Why do we have this thing in our brain makes us want to control things we just have no power over?
So first of all, we're not going to go into PTSD and trauma right now, but our brains love consistency, right? as humans, our brains crave predictability, and when our brains they interpret that as safety, right? So whether it is or not, they like to think that they know what's coming up to feel safe and to feel calm. But it's an illusion because we really know there's so many things that, that we can't control. We could get in a car accident on the way home. There's so many things that are out of our control. But our brains feel safe when we think that we can. But what ultimately we want to do as humans is learn what we can control and then have the skills and mindsets to be able to calm ourselves and cope when things don't feel good, instead of trying to constantly control our environment, the people around us, our relationships, our friendships, so that we feel safe. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about next week is how do we actually cope in a healthy way? Because it can't be just beer and cheese. Just throwing that out there, not to ruin anybody's day.
Maybe occasionally for some
Occasionally,
of us
it just can't be the only
not
way.
Always. Not always, certainly. So I think that's interesting. Talking to Kira Sabin, by the way, who is a positive psychology coach, and you can find all of her work. You can get in touch with her at thrivewithkira.com. And she's somebody who certainly helped me in my life, and I know helped a lot of other people as well. Kira, this idea that there's a psychology behind this that we always wanted to control things, but is it too simplistic to say we need to just learn to let go of some things and I don't want to say not care, but I mean how do you get to that point where you're able to break that psychology of wanting to control things all the time?
First of all, understanding what actually makes sense for us to control. And I don't think that on a daily basis we think about that or talk about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're just trying to think about things so much, right? We think that if we worry and if we think about all of the worst case scenarios, that somehow we're protecting ourselves. But they've actually proven that that's not true either. All you're doing is putting time and energy and brain power towards things that may never happen and usually negativity. Right. So whether we want to believe in whatever, the science proves that where we put our time and our energy and our focus creates results. And that can be negative results or that can be positive results.
I'm chuckling because, I'm pretty open with these segments, and there have been times in my life where there's a bill I had to pay or I was behind, and I don't want to call that person. I'm putting it off because it's going to be terrible and it's going to be bad. And then you finally do it, and it's like, oh, that was all it was. And in the meantime, I've created days, if not weeks, of anxiety over basically nothing.
Right. And if we do that all the time and then are also trying to control things like the government or our country or our family members or our coworkers, man, that's exhausting. And we're tired. We're just really, really tired.
And agree or disagree, I don't think either one of us, you can speak for yourself, but I'm not saying that there aren't things that aren't important to pay attention to and it could have consequences, but to take that on every day and somehow think that we individually are going to change that, our bodies they're not wired for that.
They are not wired for that. And I mean, they're still coming out with the data on, how technology affects our brains, how like social media and the comparison, and just, I mean, you and I've talked about this 1,000 times, but I think everybody out there needs a hug more than anything else, right? We're so isolated. And what do you do when you're isolated? You go online and you find people who believe the same things that you believe or can tell you how to make sense with your loneliness and your sadness. And a lot of those people are not good people and are taking advantage of people.
I couldn't agree with you more. We talked about this yesterday. I don't want to belabor it, but just to follow up on that, and Zommers was so good he made a promo about this yesterday, or something I said yesterday. Was at home, was at mom's house, saw, David Ewing as well, Brady and Brandon's dad, and we just started talking unexpectedly, and he tells me this beautiful story of how he and his wife, Andrea, met in high school and how they're still in love, and just, it was so uplifting, but the point was, I would have never gotten that just chilling out, scrolling, doom scrolling. I was outside doing something and had a real conversation with another human. We all need to do that more, Kira, don't we?
100%. Because the thing is that when we don't see other people struggling, we think it's only us. Mm-hmm. And then that's where the isolation comes. That's where we stop talking to people. I love the idea of self-help, but there's also something called community help. right? And so many times it's not just us needing to read another book or listen to another podcast, even though I have a podcast and you have a radio show. It's also just remembering, talking to people, because we have become so divided. We've forgotten that our neighbor is really nice and makes great cookies, right? And, and probably has the same concerns on a daily basis that you do. And that's the hardest thing, is like, I think that we think things have changed, and I think we're just have stopped talking to each other.
That is so good. That is so good, and it's so true. About 4 or 5-ish minutes. No, not quite that. Well, three minutes left. Thank you, Zommers. Let's get into a little bit of these personal needs convo, Kira, for the next 3 minutes before the break.
I love to share with people that there are 4 personal needs that only we can take care of ourselves, right? And we try to pass them off a lot of times, or people try to pass them off on us. Number 1, our physical well-being and health. That is completely up to us. We can make green smoothie for our spouses. We can suggest a doctor. We can walk beside them, but we cannot make people change their life. They have to do it. Their emotional well-being and happiness. And that's right. It is nobody else's job to make you happy. If you're not happy, you have to figure out what that is to make you happier. I think we turn to our partners and our family, or even our jobs, to make us happy, and they can't do it. It's completely up to us. And happiness is a skill, and it's something you can learn and grow. Like, that's what positive psychology is. We also can't control anybody else's passion or purpose. We can cheerlead them. We can send them job links. We can remind them how talented they are, but we can't light that fire for them. We can't we can't make someone want a bigger life, right? That's up to them. And then the final one, which is hard to hear because we are all giving our worth away on a daily basis, is our self-worth and how we feel about ourselves. That's 100% on us. We can tell somebody else they're amazing. We can see their potential. We can love the crap out of them, but we can't force somebody to believe it. And these are things, this is why we heal. This is why we have therapy. This is why we have coaches, or whatever it is, to be able to take care of those things ourselves so we can show up as whole people in our friendships, our relationships. And that is how we change the world.
Think about that list, Kira. How people are physically, how well they are emotionally, their passion and purpose, and their self-worth. How much time do we spend trying to change or help, quote unquote, other people on those 4 things? Well, I just feel like if I did this or said this, maybe they'll just light a fire. I mean, I've been unemployed. I've been looking for a job, and people are I know they're trying to be helpful, but sometimes that just puts you in a more depressed state.
And a lot of times, because we secretly know inside that this is our own work, people get resentful. Yes. Right? So if you try to do it for them, they get resentful and then push you away. So it's not working either way. A, you can't do it for them. And then B, if you try, that's us trying to fix them. And usually that's a self-worth thing.
Wow. Really good stuff. Physical, emotional, well-being, passion, purpose, self-worth. These are things we all have to work on for ourselves. We can't rely on others to do it for us. We'll come back and talk about things we can control with Kira Saban. She's a positive psychology coach. And you're listening to the Allbaugh Show on Civic Media. David New Berlin says, I'm perfectly content with the idea that I can't control what others do. Here's what I can control, and this is really powerful. I get to control how I respond to others.
Yep.
That's
exactly what we're going to talk about in just a second, David.
Look at that, Dave. He's on a roll.
Go to the head of the class, David.
He also said earlier, show all my messages, get me a free diagnosis, with a big laughing emoji afterwards. Unfortunately, Dave, we probably can't show all of your responses and messages on the air.
Is this good so far? Is this helpful?
This is awesome. This is fantastic.
Okay.
This is exactly what we're looking for.
I love that personal needs information, because I mean, it's just like such a 4 things, but holy crud.
Yeah.
We are all trying to take care of other people's stuff. And that's not necessarily true for children, because, it's our job to help take care of kids. But just the same, we're trying to do it with most of the adults in our life too.
No, it's great. So when we come back, we'll have like 7 minutes for this segment.
Yep, that'll be fine.
So, fan-dang-tastic. It's so good to see you, Kira Saban.
It's
I
so
always
good to
feel
see
better
you.
when I get to talk with you.
I'm so glad. I wish I had a Kira Saban in my life. That's.
I'm sorry.
I'm just
Can we
kidding.
clone you? Can we?
No, my God, don't do that for everybody involved. Poor Danny. One is enough. One is enough. But no, I'm really glad. No, and I'm glad to be here. I'm glad I've just had my head down trying to
You're a busy person.
keep getting good stuff out there. But yeah, I have a really powerful program right now that takes up a lot of my time, but it's great.
Yeah. Well, good. You're helping a lot of folks. You're making the world better.
I'm trying.
You are.
And I'll tell you, it's not through worrying and trying to control everybody else.
Right.
I wonder if you should start doing like what good happened today for 10 minutes.
Yeah. I like
Do you know
that.
what I mean? Just as like
Yeah.
a reminder of just like, hey, these terrible things happened, but
Right.
here's 5 minutes of really, really good things.
Yeah. I like that. What's good?
What's
What
good?
up?
I love the positive psychology, because regular psychology says, what's wrong with you and let's lift you up to neutral. And positive psychology is what's right with you and how do we lean into it so that you better your life.
I like the what's right. I like the what's right. Terry Barr says, this is terrific. We're working on an overall effort for the network. So this is so wonderful. Oh, awesome. Thank you, Terry.
Dom Salvio, when he still had his show, Jess made him start ending every show. The last 10 minutes would be, tell us something good.
That's right. That's right.
All right, we have about 20 seconds.
All right, thank
but
you.
yes, it's a good idea.
All right.
Yeah, I actually love that. Maybe that's your whole show now.
You can be amazing, you can turn a phrase into a weapon or a drug. You can be the outcast, or be the backlash of somebody's lack of love. Or you can start speaking up. Nothing's gonna
Time to
hurt
start
you.
speaking up.
Words
Along with
say
Kira Saban, I'm Todd Allbaugh. Kira is a positive psychology coach. You can find all of her work at thrivewithkira.com. We're always so thankful and happy to have her here. Today is the first in a 3-part series. Join us each Tuesday for the following 2 weeks as Kira will be back during this Mental Health Awareness Month. That's off your Spotify playlist, right, Kira?
I'm sure it is. I mean, my Spotify playlist is like 2,000 songs long. So
Holy cow.
Spotify and I'm actually the top 1% of Spotify listeners. So
Really?
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Talking about things we can control and can't control in this crazy, crazy world when sometimes the news of the day, we feel overwhelmed. We've talked about things we can't control, the psychology behind it. I love these personal needs convos, and maybe we could kind of go through this again in future episodes just to refresh in case you weren't with us before the break. Kira said a person's physical well-being, their emotional well-being, their passion and purpose, and also their self-worth. Those are things that no matter how much we love or care about someone, we cannot change that for them. It's up to each of us individually to work on those things for ourselves, right, Kira?
Absolutely. And we will just go like nutso in the butso trying. It's one of my favorite sayings because it's also our own self-work. Right? Like
exactly.
that's what we're doing. We're healing and we're making ourselves better.
So let's empower people a little bit here because there are some things that we actually can control.
Of course.
And Dave in New Berlin actually said, texted it on the Civic Media text app and said, I'm perfectly content with the idea that I can't control what others do. Here's what I can control. And it's really powerful. I get to control how I respond to others. Kira Saban?
Exactly. It's the first thing right here. I told Dave, like, go to the head of the class, 100 points, ding, 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 ding. Not only how we react, but how we respond to people, right? And I will tell you, a lot of times we think that our emotions are uncontrollable. That is not true at all. Emotions actually last 90 seconds. And any emotions, last longer than that is actually either secondary emotions, kind of the feelings we have about those emotions, and we start to ruminate. So I tend to, I know, isn't that fascinating?
That kind of blows my mind, but go ahead.
Yeah, so when we realize that our emotions are actually just signals to our body or our brain to say, hey, there's something going on, right? Like there's something that's either not okay or really happy. Once we realize that, we can step back and we can respond to people. And responding means we don't lose it, we're not mad, we're not sarcastic, we're not just in passing. We're actually responding in a way that we can be heard, because what's the point of talking if we can't be heard?
100% agree.
So by not reacting, by not, nobody wants to talk to somebody who then shares 17 things wrong about you, right? By just being able to respond and say, can I be heard? This is important to me. That's how we change and better our relationships.
Let's get to the next one so we don't run out of time.
You got it. Where we put our time, energy, and money.
Where we
right?
put our time, energy, and money.
Yes. Where we shop, where we donate our time, where we organizations that we volunteer for, whatever we are doing, you want to do what you want to see move forward, right? And what happens is we sit home a lot and worry. That is helping no one. You thinking about the world not going well isn't bettering it in any way. Take that frustration and use it as fuel.
And you've talked about this before, but let's not get into it right now. But who we spend our time with and what those people have an effect, that's a huge one that I've tried to listen to you more on.
And somebody told me years ago, I'm sure you guys have heard it, that look at the 5 people that you spend the most time with, they represent you. And when I heard that at the time, I was like, oh no, that's not good.
That ain't good.
That's not good at all, because they tended to be negative people, always brought me down, constantly complaining, and I would just get the same way.
Yeah. Next one, how we give back to what we believe in.
That's right. Like, I know so many of us are concerned about our LGBTQ communities. We're concerned about just a lot of people possibly not getting the funding or the support that they used to have. But guess what? We're the support. We can be the support. If you don't have the time or the energy, there are organizations that always need money. There's organizations that need help. Don't worry about I want to see people give back to their communities and their time. In that way, that's how we make sure that they can't take that away from us.
Next one, what we consume on a daily basis, content, social media, news.
Absolutely. I hate to tell you this, Todd, but people who watch the daily news are 20% less happy. So that's actually scientific proof. So
very unhappy. Isn't that a line for the producers? Go ahead.
But really be aware of what you're consuming and how it makes you feel. There are ways that we can take in, here's what happened today, without it completely taking us over for the day or for a half an hour or an hour, right? There are ways for us to get the information and be thoughtful to it, because I can tell you this, we used to get newspapers, and then that's all we would know for the day or the week or whatever. Now we are inundated every second of every day. And let's be honest, there is not 24 hours of news every single day. So they're finding news, and that news is mostly stuff that's not happy. So really be thoughtful to where you give your time. I obviously love Todd Allbaugh show for my news and information. And
I like the thrivewithkira.com for some of my information as well.
Thank you. But if you find yourself just doom scrolling through all of these videos, it's not helpful. And all it does is really take you down in a way that it's hard to bring you back up.
And the final one we touched on, who we surround ourselves with. We have control over that. I always enjoy being surrounded with more Kira Saban. We'll see you next week, Kira. Really, really appreciate you. You can find her and all her info at thrivewithkira.com. Thanks, Kira. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Todd. Thanks, Aaron.
You're amazing. All right. Stay tuned. What's Worse is next. It's the Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. Fantastic. Look at that. Timed out perfect. Awesome.
Right.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
No problem.
And we'll do it all again next Tuesday. All right. Thank you, Kira.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Adios.
Demonstrations today as a House committee takes up the Republican budget. budget resolution package. Key programs, including Medicaid, could be slashed.
Opponents say the House GOP package would grow the ranks of the uninsured by more than 13 million. Several protesters in wheelchairs tried to block access to one hearing focused on finding savings in the Medicaid program for the poor. Meanwhile, a handful of GOP moderates rejected the drafters' proposal to raise the cap on the state and local tax deduction from $10,000 to $30,000 for middle-income earners.
ABC's Stephen Portnoy. At an economic forum in Saudi Arabia, President Trump announcing a $600 billion Saudi commitment to invest in U.S. businesses. The president also says the U.S. plans to lift sanctions against Syria under its new government. A day after Hamas freed American hostage Idan Alexander from Gaza, his family says he's at a hospital in Tel Aviv for evaluation and has plans to return to his home in New Jersey soon. This is ABC News.
This is your local civic media radio station. Want to hear even more? Anytime? Find all of it at civicmedia.us.
For 92.7 WMDX News, I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. The father of the Abundant Life shooter is now out on bond. Jeffrey Ruppnow is charged with 3 felonies for allegedly supplying the gun his daughter used to kill 2 people and hurt 6 more before ending her own life at Abundant Life Christian School in December. They say Ruppnow gave her one of those guns as a gift. Madison police arrested him Thursday. A judge set his bond at $20,000. WKOW reports that the Dane County Sheriff's Office confirmed to them Ruppnow was released from the jail yesterday. Under the conditions of his bond, he's now supposed to have GPS monitoring and has been ordered not to have any contact with the Abundant Life Christian School community. And there will soon be more flights to New York City from Madison. The Dane County Regional Airport is adding more nonstop trips to the Big Apple. Right now, Delta has flights from Madison to LaGuardia, but starting in September, American Airlines will have them too. That means every day there will be 3 flights from Madison to NYC. Madison's airport has direct flights to 17 cities. And Lisa Hale has our weekly check on prices at the pump.
Gas prices continue to drop throughout Wisconsin. Gas Buddy reports Wisconsin is seeing an average price of $2.91 a gallon, down 2.8 cents from last week. Head of Petroleum Analysis at Gas Buddy, Patrick DeHaan, said with only minor fluctuations for Memorial Day travel, he expects prices to remain low for the near future. 40 states saw average gas prices fall over the past week as refineries wrapped up their seasonal maintenance and prepared to boost output. Nationally, a gallon of gas averages $3.08.
That's reporting from Lisa Hale. Dane County is right on target with the rest of the state. A gallon of regular should cost you, on average, $2.91. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. You're listening to 92.7 WMDX News.
The Brewers losing Cleveland. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. The Brewers lose to the Guardians last night 5-0. Milwaukee with runners in scoring position 6 times, yet still shut out. Manager Pat Murphy says never mind that they're still only 2 games below 500.
We're all kind of struggling bad. Some teams would be with our situation. Some teams might be satisfied being in the hunt, but we're not playing well.
The Brewers say that pitcher Brandon Woodruff now headed back to IL after injuring his right ankle in his last rehab start. In basketball, NBA insider Shams Charania reporting on ESPN that this time the Bucks trading Giannis is on the table.
They have 1 first-round pick that they can trade 6 years from now. They have top-heavy salaries, and again, Giannis Antetokounmpo, the 2-time NBA MVP, he has not made any firm decisions about his future, but sources tell me for the first time in his 12-year NBA career as a Milwaukee Buck is open to exploring what it looks like potentially outside of Milwaukee.
With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
Local radio for you and your community. It's Civic Media's mission with stations across Wisconsin. Find your favorites at civicmedia.us.
A mix of sun and clouds today with a chance of a few spotty sprinkles, otherwise warm, with high temperatures climbing to the upper 70s. We do that again tomorrow, becoming more muggy. More scattered showers pop up in the afternoon, all ahead of thunderstorms expected on Thursday. I'm meteorologist Brittany Merlot. Right now, it's 75 degrees.
Yo, I'm your old basketball. Haven't seen you out on the courts in a while. Why not pass me over to Goodwill? Donating me helps Goodwill's mission to provide career training and support services right here in the community. And that's a slam dunk. Donate today. Hey, I got next.
To find your nearest Goodwill locations and to learn more about our mission, please visit goodwill.org. Goodwill, where your things start new lives.
The Maggie Dawn Show.
Professor Howard Schwaber.
The point is worth making that an individual government official with the power to unilaterally declare that people can be seized without any opportunity of a hearing of any kind is getting really close to the model of rule that the American constitutional system is entirely designed to resist.
Entirely designed to resist.
30 seconds.
Antithetical
Gracias.
to our founding.
Live from the Civic Media World Headquarters in Madison, Wisconsin, it's the Todd Allbaugh Show. And now, pursuing truth wherever it may lead, here's your host, Todd Allbaugh.
Across Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network and streaming worldwide on the Civic Media app. Good afternoon, everybody. Todd Allbaugh, along with Mr. Aaron Zommers, our producer and engineer. It is 6 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock. Welcome into hour number 2 of the big program on Tuesday, May 13th, 2025. It is a great day to be a Wisconsinite. Partly cloudy skies at the world headquarters of Civic Media in downtown Madison on State Street. Glad to have you along. How about that Kira Saban, Zommers? I mean, you just feel better every time she comes on the show.
Yes, and as you said before we had her on, it was way too long in between. Yeah. It's always helpful to have somebody who knows what they're talking about with mental health, right, just remind us that we need to be honest with ourselves and each other about what we can and can't do, and where we should put our energy.
Well said. And Kira, again, is going to be back with us next Tuesday and the following Tuesday for this 3-part series on Mental Health Awareness Month. Things that we can actually do to help create community in a positive way. Things that identifying, again, things we don't have control over, can't have control over, and then looking at things that we can and what we can do about it. And I think that the more we feel in some form of control, the healthier we are, the better we feel, because it's like, oh, look, it's kind of like, I think, making lists, right? When you say, oh, here are 4 or 5 things I have to get done today. Do the laundry, sweep the floor, whatever, and then you cross them off as you go through it. And at the end of the day, if you can get through that list, you're like, oh, wow, I accomplished something. I feel better. And it's the same way in our mental health, I think, that we don't, at least I'll speak for myself, I don't always view it that way. It's just go to the next thing, go to the next thing, go to the next thing. And we don't, as my former teacher, Andy Spees, likes to say, pause and reflect on our own mental health.
And one thing that I think personally is important to remember is that you mentioned making lists of tasks you need to accomplish. Everyone's lists look different.
Yes.
You might think someone will look at your list of get out of bed today, take a shower, cook myself breakfast is stupid and lame and not enough. But no, you know what? Everyone's in their own place on a journey. Yeah. And just because you are struggling more or less than somebody else doesn't mean that your journey is not just as important.
Yeah, absolutely right. And proud to partner with Kira. You can find all of her work again at thrivewithkira.com. Proud to partner with her over this Mental Health Awareness Month. And again, one more plug for that great event happening in downtown Madison, Wisconsin on Wednesday evening from 6 until 8:30 at Cooper's Tavern. It is a fireside chat with Monte Ball, former Badger and NFL star, and our friend Kristen Bry from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, and also As Goes Wisconsin. She is going to be moderating the conversation all evening long on Wednesday at the Cooper's Tavern in downtown Madison with Monte Ball as he talks about his addiction and then his recovery, and now how he has this foundation and he's helping others. All proceeds for the event on Wednesday night go to Journey Mental Health Center, and also Monte Ball's foundation as well, as he helps others. Tickets are still available. I'll be there. Looking forward to attending a great evening. And what's the website again, Zommers? I'm sorry.
JourneyMHC.org. And then you click on Join Us and Mental Health Awareness Month.
And of course, he's spot on. He's got it right up on the video here. It says visit Journey M as in Mary, H as in Henry, C as in cat.org. Then you hit join us, then Mental Health Awareness Month, and you can buy tickets there.
Yes.
So great cause. Should be a good time had by all on Wednesday in downtown Madison. All right, let's get to some fun this hour and some seriousness as well under the what's wrong with people kids today. Listen to me. What they're doing to their Chromebooks. Going to talk about that a little bit. And also Donald Trump is overseas in the Middle East. This is his second term as president now. Not consecutive, of course. And both times, his first trips internationally, well, I guess he went to the Pope's funeral, but that wasn't an official, quote-unquote, state trip. He was just going to represent the U.S. at the funeral. His first state trip, once again, is to the Middle East and Saudi Arabia and Qatar. And we're going to talk about his response to this free plane, $400 million luxury. They call it a palace in the sky. We're going to talk about that a little bit. And we'll touch on good old David Hogg at the Democratic National Committee. There's going to be a revote. I told you, Zombers. They needed to elect Ben Wickler from Wisconsin as the national chairman, and now they got my least favorite Martin in charge, and it has not been good. Things have not gone well so far.
No, they have not.
All right, 11 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock. Time once again for What's Worse. Let's go.
This or that, this or that. Then, of course, the choice is yours. You can get with this or you can get with that.
Time once again for What's Worse. Nothing to give away, no prize money involved, but it is your chance to have your voice heard across all 11 news talk sports stations in the state of Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network. No better way to get your product, your business advertised on our network across Wisconsin. Go to civicmedia.us, and find out how you can be one of our fantastic sponsors. All right, Zombers, and we did not pre-plan this, by the way. It just worked out this way. I have very little to do with the writing of these things. But today's category, timely indeed, as Mike Lucas is fond of saying, after having Kira on, our positive psychology coach. Today's category, guilt or shame. What's worse, guilt or shame? 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. You can also text us on the Civic Media app. You can download it at your app store on Apple or Android. Go to your search bar in your app store, type in Civic, CIVIC, Media. It'll pop up. Click on the CM logo. It'll download. Takes less than a minute. It is free. It's what CBS's Gail King calls a deal. The Civic Media app. Get it today because we got Free Ticket Friday coming up on Friday, and you have to have it for that. What's worse, guilt or shame? 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. Greg, listening in beautiful Genesee Depot via WAUK radio. One word, shame. That's it.
That shame is worse.
That shame is worse. This is an interesting one because neither one are good, right? I mean, at least I'm not. In my opinion, it's never good to feel guilty and certainly not good to feel shameful. Because, go ahead.
I think they can be. They are rarely good things, but I think they can be.
Really?
Like, especially guilt. Guilt can be a good check on our moral compass to make sure we do the right thing.
Yeah, I can see that.
Especially if you think, oh, if I would do this, I would feel so guilty. Well, then maybe think about it and don't do it. But sometimes people feel guilt and it is unwarranted.
Right.
Like, oh no, I didn't do everything flawlessly and serve up life on a silver platter for somebody. No, you don't need to feel guilty for that. It's okay.
What's worse, guilt or shame? 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. Joseph, watching us on YouTube, hello, Joseph, thanks for tuning in, says shame is worse. Toxic, and unconstructive. Yeah, that's pretty good right there. Tony, watching on YouTube, I wish Trump and National Republicans felt guilt or shame. I don't know. I don't know for sure, Tony, but my gut tells me there are some out there that feel both. But again, it's sort of under that category of they care, but not enough to do anything about it.
Yeah. Dave in New Berlin texts in, says, difficult one today. And I think guilt and shame are the same feeling. I think they're really similar.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like guilt is more you did something or didn't do something to somebody else. And shame is more you feel bad about where you're at personally.
See, I look at it more that it's very similar, but I look at it that guilt is about something that you may have done or you did do, but very few people know about it. Or it might have been like something you said to someone that no one else besides the other person knows about it. And you feel guilty. You're like, oh man, I wish I could take that back. I said it in the moment or whatever. Where shame, I feel like that's something, an action that you've already done. And you're like, I'm so ashamed, or sad, I guess, too. Like you said an inappropriate joke or whatever it is. And you're just like, you feel shame. You're like, that's not who I am. That's just, I just feel shameful about that. Right.
The Oxford definitions of each word.
Please.
Just to.
Please.
Yeah. For guilt, it is, well, first of all, there's a legal definition. We're going to skip that one.
Yes.
But guilt is a feeling of having done wrong or failed in an obligation.
Oh, that's a good one. The failed obligation. Okay.
And shame is a painful feeling of humiliation or distress caused by the consciousness of wrong or foolish behavior. So yes, very similar.
See, I think shame is based on behavior. That's just my personal thing. Eric listening in Madison on WMDX. Todd, I can assuage my guilt. I cannot do the same for shame. All right, that's a good take on that. Megan in Sun Prairie on MDX says, I think guilt is worse. It lingers longer in most cases. It's also more likely to make whatever caused it replay in my head when I'm trying to get to sleep. That's good too. I do think Megan's on to something there about guilt lasting longer. Like you could feel guilty. I don't know. Like I know I've thankfully never been in this situation, but I know like at funerals, a loved one will pass. And there are people in the family who feel guilty that they didn't spend more time with that individual before they passed.
Or guilty that they're not as sad as they feel like they should be.
Right. And that lingers forever, right? So good point of that one, Megan. Kurt listening on WMDX here in Madison says, shame is worse. Do you have no dignity, sir? The great line during the Joe McCarthy hearings back in the day. And unfortunately, a line we've heard a lot more recently during the current administration out in Washington, D.C. The category today for what's worse, guilt or shame. 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. You want to say yours, Summers?
I mean, I think I view them slightly differently than you do. I view guilt more as a behavior thing, or like you did something to be guilty for, whereas I interpret shame to be more of it can be broader, you know? At least that's how I see it. And so I think shame is worse going by that, because if you feel guilty, it's easy to do something about it. Like to say, you know, I did this. I feel so bad. I'm sorry. You know, unless your example of at a funeral and the person's passed away, you can't do anything about that. But
can't do anything about that.
But when it is shame about something you've done that just hurts yourself and you think you're, you know, I failed at who I want to be, that's a lot harder to grapple with.
Let's see. Monique listening in Madison on MDX says, Brenny Brown, shame expert, says guilt involves feeling bad about something you've done, while shame focuses on your overall sense of self and whether you feel worthy. Guilt is about a specific action, where shame is about your character or identity.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Very interesting. Barb, listening in Madison on WMDX, says guilt is something. Says I did something. Guilt is some. Try that again, Todd.
Guilt says I did something wrong. Shame says I am wrong, or inferior, or less than.
Thank you for that. Well, I feel guilty about not being able to read that well. We'll come back. I'll tell you mine after this. Also, why are kids lighting up their Chromebooks? It's the Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. What's wrong with people?
Madison, real news and great conversation. 92.7 WMDX.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation and a regular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
Hey, at the end of the day, everybody wants the same thing from their mattress. A good night's rest, am I right? It's not rocket science. You don't need a physics genius to make you a futuristic space bed. You just need someone to listen to what you want and who knows the materials that will get you there. And you might even be surprised to learn that that someone could be living right next door. At Verlo, we're your friendly neighborhood mattress genius. American made, locally crafted. Welcome to Verlo.
Hi, Gordy Kopke here.
There
when
he
I
is.
first invited folks to my farm 40 years ago, I could never have dreamed that would become the area's largest greenhouse. With a focus on quality plants at reasonable prices and a special emphasis on customer service, we have received the People's Choice Award as Madison area's best greenhouse. Located 2 miles east of Oregon in the beautiful town of Dunn, I invite you out to see why we are not only the area's largest greenhouse, but also the best.
Madison, get ready to sizzle. Come into Ko-Ro Hot Korean Barbecue
20
and Hot
seconds.
Pot, East Town
Thank
Mall.
Dreaded walk of shame after a late night. Remember those days? I didn't have a lot of those days. Maybe one or two here or there back in my college years. But
You gotta own it.
Yeah, you gotta own it. You gotta own it. Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. Now 23 past the hour of 3 o'clock here, asking our what's worse question of the day. Today's category: what's worse, guilt or shame? 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842, or you can text us on the Civic Media app. I don't know. This has been a good discussion here before the break, and I really appreciate Monique's from Madison what she was saying, because I think it hit what you said, saying that guilt involves feeling bad about something you've done, while shame focuses on your overall sense of self and whether you feel worthy. Guilt is about specific action, where shame is about your character or identity.
Yeah, and
that's well said, Monique.
That's why I think shame is worse, because guilt, let's say I forgot to show up to an important event or something. That sucks, but
you feel guilty about it.
You feel guilty about it, but you can talk to that person and say, I really tried to. I am sorry, and I want to try and make it up to you.
Yeah.
But shame, like sometimes I feel shame about where I am in my life and that I expected things would go differently than they have. But there are legitimate reasons why my life path is different than maybe I thought, but it's easy to forget about those and just feel bad about yourself.
I agree. I'm going to go with shame is worse as well. For all the reasons you've stated, and Monique and others, I think it's a deeper thing. It talks to your character a little bit. It's like that was something I did or said or whatever that's against my character. So we've all been there. So you have to, as Kira Saban reminded us earlier, there are some things that we can't control. And changing someone is one of those things we can't control. We have to work on that ourselves and work out where we put our time, our energy, our money, and work on ourselves first. So that's always a good thing. 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. Let's go to the phone lines quickly. Rick in Waukesha, listening on WAUK in the Shaw. Rick, guilt or shame, what's worse?
Shame.
Any particular reason?
Think,
go ahead.
I think people can be guilty and not know it, not have a conscience, and shame shows they have a conscience and feel the shame.
I like that. That shame shows a conscience. That's really good. Thanks, Rick. I appreciate the call. Have a great day down. Yep. Have a great day yourself down there in beautiful Waukesha on WAUK. All right, that's another edition of What's Worse. We'll be back tomorrow with more of that. I don't know if these kids feel guilt or shame, but this comes to us from WFRV television station in the Fox Valley on their website, wearegreenbay.com. Headline, and by the way, the reporter, the author, the journalist on this story, their name is Indiana Shills. Indiana Shills. You have Indiana Jones, but now someone has named their kid Indiana. I don't know if it's male or female, doesn't matter, but I think it's just great that there's an actual Indiana out there. That was the first thing that caught my eye. So this from Indiana Shills from WFRV in the Fox Valley. Headline, Wisconsin schools warn parents about viral TikTok challenge involving Chromebook fires. A dangerous TikTok trend that encourages students to intentionally set their school-issued Chromebooks on fire has prompted Northeast Wisconsin school districts to issue urgent warnings to parents. The Akanto Unified School District confirmed that a message was recently sent to families alerting them to the viral challenge that is making its way through schools nationwide. The trend reportedly involves students inserting foreign objects like pencils, pens, or erasers into the Chromebook ports to trigger smoke or fire. The device contains lithium-ion batteries, which can react to temperatures over 900 degrees Fahrenheit when damaged, producing toxic smoke and creating a series of fire hazards that is difficult to control. District officials at Akanto are reminding families that students who tamper with devices could face severe disciplinary consequences, including suspension, expulsion, or even referral to law enforcement. Parents are strongly encouraged to speak with their kids about risks and consequences of this trend and to stress the importance of avoiding participation.
I think the real people who should feel guilt and shame in this are the people who started that stupid trend. Like, do people not think about what they put online and what it could cause?
I just don't. What's the payoff? Like, oh, look how funny! I just lit my computer on fire.
You have a viral TikTok.
See, that's it, right?
It's attention.
You want attention, and TikTok, of course, for those who might not know, a social media platform like Facebook, only it's based on short videos, and it's owned by the Chinese. And under Biden, and then under Trump, it was going to be banned, and now Trump has, given his blessing and kept it going. And there's a lot of people that use it for good reasons and earn. People make their living off of TikTok. But here's one, like everything, right? All technology, there's generally something that can be used for good, or it can also be used for bad, and it comes down to people making choices. But yes, if you have a middle schooler or high schooler and they're issued a Chromebook by their school district, I guess in today's world, sit down and say, okay, guys, make sure you do not do this. Do not light your Chromebook on fire.
Don't touch the hot stove. Don't light your items or the belongings of your school district on fire. Easy things.
I just growing up, if I would have done something like that, I would have gotten the wooden spoon to my posterior. It wouldn't have been tolerated. You understand? All right, come on back. We're going to talk a little David Hogg on the other side and the Democratic National Party. What's wrong with these people? Once again, it's the Todd Allbaugh Show on the CBS, on the Civic Media Radio Network. Shame.
CBS, Madison's real news and great conversation.
just reading something on
92.7
CBS.
WMDX. Your news, conversations, and a whole lot of fun. It's all on your local Civic
Some
Media
people
radio
use it for,
station
yes, like
or the
Civic Media.
app.
Thank you, Tony. We'll plug
United
that the other
States
side.
and Chinese
We'll plug it.
officials have come to an agreement that temporarily reduces tariffs. The pause will be in effect 90 days while negotiations continue. I'm Stephanie Hoff along with you on a Monday. You're listening to the Midwest Farm
How about
Report.
can we dial?
Before the
This will
announcement,
be hard to find
Agriculture
because
Secretary
Garth Brooks
Brooke
is very
Rollins
cagey
told farm
about his music.
broadcasters
Can we
that she's
find the Garth Brooks
optimistic
edition
that upcoming
of
negotiations
Shameless?
and trade deals will ease the volatility that farmers have been experiencing in the market since tariffs came into play.
We went from a $0 trade deficit to more than a $50 billion trade deficit. Those are
I
direct
don't know,
dollars
Billy.
out of
I
farmers'
don't know.
pockets, which, to your point,
I wouldn't
is
have
causing
done that
a significant amount
on
of
my,
stress
in my
our
15-year-old
farming
self.
community and with our brothers and sisters in rural
Because
America.
my parents would be like,
I say
you know,
all of this.
it costs
wanting
money.
to
We don't
ensure
have
that
money.
you
And
and others
I don't know. I was
understand
just
that I
not
hear
saying I
you
was
and I
perfect
get
at
it.
15, but I
My
would not have done
hope
something like
is that with the trade agreement announcements that are coming, that we are going to be in such a good situation so very quickly.
Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins speaking to us at the National Association of Farm Broadcasting event in Washington, D.C. This Washington Watch News Update is brought to you by the Wisconsin Soybean Association, dedicated to ensuring policies are in place for the future of soybean farmers. What do markets look like after the closing bell? We'll talk about it next.
One of your biggest investments,
The
season after season,
insane guilt
is
and
high-quality
shame I
feed.
would feel after
But
doing
are
something
you
like
getting the
this.
most
Like,
from it?
I
If you
remember
aren't using a
the first
silage
time
rock
I
that
ever said a
preserves
swear
quality
word.
and
I,
reflects the value of your high-quality
I was
silage,
driving up north
the
with my
answer
dad.
is no.
We had the
You pair
boat
your
on
high-quality
the
silage
trailer in the
with
back, so you know there's a lot of
science-based,
mass there. It's hard to stop
research-proven
quickly.
silage products from
And some
Novo
nun
Nordisk.
pulls
Not
over
only
like
are you
out in
supporting
front of us
improved
on the
product
highway,
performance,
cutting
but
people
you
off
know you're
and
getting the
like
maximum
4
return
people
on your
almost
feed
crashed,
investments.
like so
Talk
close.
to your local dealer about
And
what
my
says
dad
Silosolv inoculants apart.
said something
Purchase your
along the
silage
lines of,
inoculant
"What the
today.
f is wrong with you?" And
Loss of
I had
appetite,
my fries
drop in
that
milk
spilled
production,
when when
dehydration,
he slammed on the
all
brakes,
indicators
and I
of
said, "Yeah, what the f
or
is
birth
wrong with you?" And he was like, "No, no, you don't say
affect
that."
the cattle health
And
farmers' bottom line.
I remember just
protect your
feeling
herd and
bright
reduce the
red for
spread
the entire
by
rest of
keeping
that
animals
drive.
hydrated and eating with BioVet.
The next
Full
like
Line
2
Gold provides
hours.
key electrolytes for livestock, and our direct-fed microbial products support digestive health and appetite. Learn
I tried
more
my
at
best to be a good boy.
bio-vet.com.
Boy, shame,
On the
shame,
close
shame by
Monday from
Shirley and
Chicago,
Company
December
disco
new
era.
crop corn is
Roger
up
and
3.5
Stevens
cents
Point, I don't
at
think I do.
4.45.5. Soybeans are rallying after the easing trade tensions. New crop soybeans are up 27 cents at 10.57.5. USDA is forecasting winter wheat production to be up in 2025, so July new crop wheat is down
Cam in
6.5
Appleton
cents
says, I got
at
in trouble in
5.15
elementary school for
1/4.
quoting that
Dairy
70s
is
show when a
rallying.
girl
The
showed
June
her drawing
Class
of a
3
redhead
milk
girl, and I
contract is
said,
up
she looks like a
43 cents
Hollywood
at
stripper.
18.74 a hundredweight. July milk up 31 cents at 18.94. For the Midwest Farm Report, I'm Stephanie Hoff.
You can always continue the conversation on social media. Share your thoughts when you find and follow Civic Media on Facebook, X, and Instagram.
A mix of sun and clouds today with a chance of a few spotty sprinkles. Otherwise warm, with high temperatures climbing to the upper 70s. We do that again tomorrow, becoming more muggy. More scattered showers pop up in the afternoon. All ahead of thunderstorms expected on Thursday. I'm meteorologist Brittany Merlot. Right now, it's 75 degrees.
When we got our home appraised, we felt robbed. Compared to a similar home right around the corner, our appraisal was $80,000 less.
Latino and Black homeowners are about twice as likely as white homeowners to get low appraisals. If you believe your home has been unfairly appraised because of race or national origin, contact HUD at hud.gov/fair housing. That's hud.gov/fair housing. Everyone has a right to fair housing. A public service message from HUD in partnership with the National Fair Housing Alliance.
What a great text.
Nightlight with
Yes,
Pete
Dave,
Schwaba.
that's funny. We obviously can't read
Talking
it.
with our pal Stuart J. Waddles. This is an episode of Bluey that Stuart turned me on to. I like this show so much. Would it be weird if I left my wife, remarried, and had kids with someone else just so I could watch Bluey with my new set of kids?
I don't think it'd be that weird. I've heard a weirder.
You
It'd make a great story.
You get the exclusive.
Nightlight with Pete Schwaba.
All right, thank you.
Weeknights from
playlist. They'll get mad at it. The Facebook people won't like it, but I don't care.
Well, I'm shameless when it comes to loving you. I'll do anything you want me to. I'll do anything at all. And I'm standing.
Look, Garth Brooks for you. I love this song. We talked last week, Brady, you in songs that you drive, like with the windows down in the summer, and you just turn it up and you sing along. This is one of them.
Yeah,
Garth Brooks
definitely.
sing. Great Billy Joel song. And Garth Brooks redid it on one of his albums, Shameless, and they actually sang it together live one time, the two of them. Wasn't as good as I had hoped when they sang it together, but that tune. Anyway, Shameless, talking about before the break there, what's worse, guilt or shame? Tony Zimmerman, our great social media, I don't know what people's titles are around here. I'm just going to say social media guru Tony Zimmerman says some people use it for good, like Civic Media. Check out Civic Media's TikTok, Instagram, or as the kids say, Insta, and YouTube shorts today. How about that?
Shameless plug for Civic Socials.
Yes, a shameless plug for Civic Socials. Well done, Tony. Well done. He's one of the things that makes Civic Media great. Tony Zimmerman, right there.
Absolutely.
He has a shop of small beavers that keep the wheels. He has
Hundreds of beavers?
Hundreds of beavers up in Ashland, and he keeps them out in his shed, and they power. It's all beaver powered up there in Ashland.
I wonder what the beaver labor regulations are.
I'm not sure. They make great dams, though. They were part of the Conservation Corps for a long time.
So I've heard.
All right. We're going a little crazy here. Anyway, what time is 37 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock. Again, the theme this hour is what's wrong with people. Here now from NBC News. Headline, DNC, that's the Democratic National Committee, panel plans a recommendation to redo the vote that elevated David Hogg to vice chair after procedural concerns. The recommendation could also affect the post held by Malcolm Kenyatta, a Pennsylvania state legislator. So this is a follow-up story. I don't want to open a can of worms here, old worms or whatever you want to say. I've been a little hard on David Hogg before because I don't think he's a great leader. I'm an independent. I'm a former Republican. I left the party in 2011. I've voted Democratic ever since because I think that of the major parties that could win elections out there, the Democrats represent the basic fundamentals of democracy, which are pretty important in my book, even though that's a low bar to cross or to get through. But they do. And so that's why I vote Democratic. Right? But I'm not a member of any party, you understand? So I got no skin personally in this game other than I would like to see Democrats be organized and win to defeat Trumpism and to get our country back on track. So the story now, the Democratic National Committee subcommittee on Monday, yesterday, recommended that the organization invalidate one of its February vice chair votes over claims that it unfairly disadvantaged female candidates. I mean, I'll explain why I'm chuckling in a second. The move, which won't be official unless the entire DNC votes to approve it, could open up new races for the positions held by David Hogg, a Florida activist, and Malcolm Kenyatta, a Pennsylvania state legislator. The challenge by Oklahoma Democratic Chair or Committee woman Kaylin Free, who unsuccessfully ran against Hogg and Kenyatta in the February race for vice chair, is not related to the ongoing tension between Hogg and the National Party over its push to support primary challenges against incumbent Democrats. I'll step away from the article, or so they say. So, to put this in real terms, to boil it down, David Hogg, a young guy, he survived the Parkland shooting, a horrific thing. He's been an activist for reasonable gun control, which I full and wholeheartedly support. He's in his 20s, probably late 20s, something like that. And he's been very vocal about shaking up the Democratic Party and saying we have to do things differently. We have to include more young people, which I don't disagree with that at all. But he has this, separate from the Democratic National Committee, he has his own super PAC, basically, where he's raising millions of dollars And he has said he's going to take $20 million to primary Democratic incumbents in Congress who he feels are either too old or are just not voting progressively far enough to the left for his liking, and he wants to take them out and replace them with more lefty Democrats, I guess, which I just don't agree with, because I think that people in each district should. I mean, and again, we've had people on this program, Democrats. I just don't think that they want to take Gwendolyn Moore out down in Milwaukee because she's 74. Yeah. Or Mark Pocan should be voted out because he's in his 60s.
I think that it's a good idea to make sure there's real choice in primaries and people can vote for someone that aligns with their beliefs. I don't think it's productive to fund those primaries instead of, for example, working against Derek Van Orden.
Exactly. There are other fish to fry like Derek Van Orden. Why go after Democrats? So they're claiming, the Democratic National Committee is claiming what we just talked about has nothing to do with the fact that they want to vote him out. All right? That's what they say.
Can I also clarify something else?
Sure.
So did I hear you correctly that at the beginning of this article you said that the person who lost to him in this election for vice chair, who is a woman, wants to redo the election because she claims the rules unfairly favored women? So
no, I'm not sure unfairly favored. Here, let's get to it right now.
Okay, I must have misheard.
So, let's just get to it right now. Back to the article. Instead, so they're saying the DNC is saying it's not because of what we just said that Hogg wants to primary Democrats. They're saying instead the reason they want to redo on the election is based off of Free's claim, the woman that lost to Hogg, that the handling of the vice chair vote gave the two men an unfair advantage amid the National Party's requirement that its executive committee achieve gender balance. And the reason I'm chuckling is because this is exactly the kind of stuff that Republicans and MAGA uses against Democrats. This is the very basis of DEI. Saying that, we want representation of every single available category out there. So instead of just saying, hey, let's have an election for the person that speaks of themselves, has a vision, and is qualified. No, we're going to make sure that we have a person from this group and a person from this group. And I just don't, and this is exactly what the other side uses against them.
Right. It's easy to make the argument, whether or not it's true, that, David Hogg won because the committee already had its woman quota fulfilled.
All right. So now they want to redo it because they say, because I guess they're suggesting that David Hogg is a white straight male, and we can't have too many white straight males in the DNC at the leadership. So we're going to have a redo on the election to make sure a woman gets this position.
One of our comments on YouTube says that's not what DEI is, Todd. That's correct. It's not what DEI is, but it's what Republicans say DEI is.
That's
it's the way
right.
They use it against Democrats.
That's my point, is that they use this to use, even whether it's true or not, it doesn't matter. This is what they use against Democrats. And this is a terrible look for, I mean, I don't care for David Hogg. I don't think he's doing a great job. But to redo an election now for this and throw him out, I just don't think that's a good look at all. Nevertheless, the article says from NBC, the Monday evening vote by the Credentials Committee set up a high-profile decision for the National Party in the coming weeks, as it will now be up to the full body to vote on whether to call for a new election for the vice chair positions held by Hogg and Kenyatta. And think about poor Malcolm Kenyatta. He's just a dude from Pennsylvania who has nothing to do with this, and now he may get taken out because they're going after Hogg. Says this is all happening as DNC chairman Ken, my least favorite Martin, I added the second part there, has been separately pushing for a reform that, quote, would require all party officers, including myself, to remain neutral in primaries, as Hogg has been signaling he's planning to take sides. I mean, what all this comes down to me, I mean, the question I would have to Democrats is, who is the leader of the Democratic Party nationally right now? I don't think I'm not sure that people can name the leader of the Democratic Party. And the advantage that the MAGA Republicans have, everybody knows, for better or worse, that Trump is in charge. And I'm not suggesting there needs to be a Trump-like person on the Democratic side, but I think the Democratic National Party they are in chaos right now, and they need to be more organized. And it's just unfortunate that they didn't have the foresight to elect Ben Wickler from Wisconsin as national chairman. Now they got Martin in there. I'm just glad that seemingly Joe Zepecki is next in line. They're going to have their election here in a month or so. But the Wisconsin Democratic Party is in better organizational stead than the national folks. 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. Ollie in the North Woods. Ollie, thanks for listening. What say you?
Hi. I don't actually know any of the candidates you were talking about, but back when I first heard about this young guy saying that they were going to use millions of dollars in the primary, I immediately thought of Elon Musk. Wisconsin voted against Musk buying votes, and basically that's what's happening here. I think they shouldn't be spending that huge amount of money to essentially buy votes, and they should leave it to we the people.
Yeah, I agree with you, Ollie. To Zomer's point earlier, there are folks like Derek Van Orton in the 3rd Congressional District who supported January 6th insurrectionists and are working against the interest of Wisconsinites. I think it'd be much healthier for Democrats to focus on people like him rather than, and I'm not saying they're doing this, but Hogg is saying that people who are old, in his eyes, he's all of 20 whatever. I just don't think Wisconsin Democrats are ready to look at Congressman Gwendolyn Moore and say, you're out of here because you're 74.
No, that's ridiculous. Old people are just as smart as young people, and can do just as well.
And I love it when Democrats, say, well, we're not talking about Gwendolyn Moore. Oh, so you're saying you want to keep your congressperson, but you're going to go over to state X and say we're going to help get rid of their congressperson.
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense.
Yep.
So appreciate
That's what I feel like. I feel like the people are the one who should deserve the right to vote, not a person with money who says, well, we want to get rid of these people or these people.
Totally agree. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Have a great day, Ollie. 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. We'll come back to a couple more calls. And there's news in the the Major League Baseball area. We'll have that for you. Breaking news on the other side. Just the Allbaugh Show for a Tuesday on the Civic Media. Everybody know.
This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
Blind Shot Social Club, a perfect blend of cool, casual dining, indoor golf with space for events, craft cocktails, and non-alcoholic drinks too. A hidden gem on Madison's East Side. Blind Shot Social Club, open to everyone. BlindShotSocialClub.com.
Tons of glass artists share the same passion for eye-catching art as Ignite Glass and Gifts, so we're showcasing their work alongside our talented local artists and our in-house Ignite artists. The latest techniques, the hottest colors, and mind-blowing designs are here for you to enjoy. Madison's favorite for glass, gifts, and vape, Ignite Glass and Gifts. Monona Drive, Williamson Street, and Odana Road, plus IgniteGlassandGifts.com. Do your eyes a favor and see this stuff.
Spring is here. Make your lawn the envy of the neighborhood with EB3 Landscaping.
David Hogg
With
is
15 years of
25.
top quality service,
25.
they treat
Look at
your
that.
property like their own.
Oh,
608-209-2185 for expert care and a vibrant tomorrow.
I'm Dan Schaefer. Let's recombobulate. The biggest thing that happens in Wisconsin state government every 2 years is the state budget. And last week at the state capitol, Republican lawmakers took a step forward in the process by voting out more than 600 measures from Governor Tony Evers' budget proposal. This has become a familiar step in this era of divided government. This is now the fourth budget proposal that Evers has put forward, and each one has been met with a similar fate. Even as this has become the custom, it doesn't have to be this way. Republicans could honestly engage with this budget and debate it on its merits. There are good, smart proposals here on everything from health care to education to child care to environmental protection. And if there are items here they disagree on, make the case, have the debate. But by voting everything out and starting from scratch, they are letting down the people of Wisconsin they are elected to represent by refusing to have this debate on a very basic level. We should expect better.
Find all of Dan's work at the Recombobulation area.
It's the Eco Minute powered by Clean Wisconsin, your environmental voice since 1970. I'm Amy Barrio. A major program that protects drinking water is on the chopping block in Congress. Lawmakers are considering slashing $2.4 billion from the state revolving fund. The program helps Wisconsin replace lead pipes and filter toxic contamination out of drinking water supplies. Our state will lose $54 million next year if funding gets cut. Parts of Wisconsin are being invaded this month by lake midges. Swarms of the insects have been rising from water bodies, including Lake Monona in Madison. The bugs can create quite a scene when they all hatch at once, but they are harmless and provide food for
Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. It is now 8 before the hour of 4 o'clock. At the top of the hour, ABC or CBS News, depending upon which station you're listening to across Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network. Weather update for you. Maybe some rain, a few storms later on tonight in parts of Wisconsin. Brittany Merlot and the weather team will be in with that. And then our great sports reporter, Mr. Mike Clemens, always on top of it, talking about the Milwaukee Brewers update there. The Brew Crew 5-0 loss last night to the Cleveland Guardians. They'll try to get back on track this afternoon. Pre-game show starts at 4:35 over the air in Richland Center. Oshkosh B'gosh, Racine, Kenosha, Park Falls, and beautiful Hayward, Wisconsin. That's all over the air. There on the stream will be our friend and colleague, Ms. Maggie Dawn, on from 4 until 6, and then 6 until 8, Pete Schwaba, along with Conrad and Nightlight. Great way to cap off your evening with a nightcap. And what better ways, Lammers, to listen to Pete Schwaba than with a nightcap?
I can think of none.
I can think of none, absolutely. Right now, talking about this story in NBC, David Hogg, one of the current vice chairs of the Democratic National Committee, now they want to have the committee wants to have a redo because they say basically Hogg got put in there against their own rules because he identifies as a white straight male, and their own rules say that they should have had another female in this position, and so they want to redo it and kick out Hogg and also another poor guy, Malcolm Kenyatta, who just happens to be a Pennsylvania state legislator, but I guess because he is male, he gets kicked off theoretically, and they want to put this woman in that Hogg lost to meet their quotas.
Or that lost to Hogg.
Or lost to Hogg, thank you. To meet the quota. That's a simplified version, but we're up against the clock, so that's the basics of this. And my point is, all of this infighting by the Democratic National Committee is going to draw the attention of the right and MAGA. They're going to make it all about these quotas and infighting, and this is only taking away from the energy, the time, and the money that the Democratic National Committee should be organizing to take on MAGA and Trumpism, and in particular in Wisconsin, people like Derek Van Orton in Wisconsin's 3rd Congressional District. 855-752-4842. Let's go to Ron, listening here on WMDX in Madison. Ron, thanks for calling. What say you?
Hey, Todd. I while I don't necessarily agree with David Hogg, my understanding of this story, and I saw this I heard this on NPR earlier, was that he wanted to take and sponsor progressive candidates with his own outside the DNC fund, political action
committee.
Right.
Correct.
And the new chair of the DNC slapped him down for it, even though it was something he was doing outside of his work for the DNC.
That's correct. That's what you just said is 100% accurate to everything I have read reporting. But the DNC is saying that what you just said is a separate issue. They claim that's not why they're coming after him. They claim that it's because of this internal quota, and somehow they messed it up and want to redo on the vote.
This sounds like something they made up to get rid of him to me. It's no different than rigging the delegates with all the super delegates to hurt Bernie in the 2016 election.
It's a self-inflicted wound, and it's not going to do. It's not going to
drive people away from the Democratic Party.
Bingo.
Just the way that pulling Biden out and dropping Kamala in without any kind of an open primary or anything at the convention.
Well, I think we would disagree on that part of it, Ron. But I do agree with you on the first part when it comes to David Hogg. I appreciate the call, Ron. Thank you so much in Madison. 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. I don't know. We'll see. And again, I'm someone as a former Republican who left the party in 2011 that wants to see Democrats in control of the House and Senate because we need a check on Trumpism. So I want them to be successful. I just don't understand this internal, but hey, I'm not a Democrat, so maybe I just don't understand it. Eric, listening on WMDX in Madison, says, Todd, can you please regale us with what you believe the magnitude of the eye roll is from your former party hearing this ridiculous story about the DNC in revolting? I don't think there's an eye roll. I think they're looking at their chops because they know all kinds of ways to exploit this. I think, and again, we've talked about this before on the show, this week is the Wisconsin State Republican Convention. They got their own problems because Brian Arthur Schimming, the chair of the Republican Party of Wisconsin, he is facing a challenge because there are ultra uber MAGA people. And I know that sounds like an oxymoron to some people, but there are folks who are just like, I don't know, negative zero-sum people who are fed. And the risk of this to Schimming is that, as I understand it, it's the Milwaukee County Republican Party, the Brown County, i.e. Green Bay, and either Eau Claire or La Crosse. So they have a lot of votes. And they're coming after Schimming. Their attorneys say that it's not legal. So the Republican Party of Wisconsin has their own internal stuff to worry about, which ain't going to help them when it comes to picking up the governor's seat next year or keeping the state legislature. So
they all have infighting. It's just the Republican Party currently appears to be better at hiding it or, sweeping it under the rug or convincing people to follow.
At the national level, at least.
At the national level.
All right. Very quickly, this is just breaking here on the air. Pete Rose and Shoeless Joe Jackson have been reinstated by baseball commissioner Rob Manafort today, making both eligible for the Sports Hall of Fame after their careers were tarnished by sports gambling scandals. The Trumpster apparently wins another one for Pete Rose. Good gravy. All right, it was a great having you along today. Azamar is always great on the board. Kira Saban, our positive psychology coach, she'll be along next Tuesday as well. Join us tomorrow for Trinity Olsen. Stay tuned for Maggie Dawn. Whatever you're fighting for, whatever you believe in, do not give up. Keep banging your drum. See you tomorrow.
Adios.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Adios.